It began with a vision, one born in the mind of Alexander the Great, a man whose ambition stretched as far as the known world. When Alexander founded the city of Alexandria in 331 BCE, he envisioned it as a beacon of culture and learning, a place where the wisdom of the world would converge. Though Alexander did not live to see his dream fulfilled, his successors in the Ptolemaic dynasty took up the mantle, determined to create a center of knowledge unlike any other. Under the rule of Ptolemy, the first Soter, a former general of Alexander's and the founder of the Ptolemaic dynasty, the foundations of the Great Library were laid. Ptolemy was not only a shrewd ruler, but also a lover of learning. He understood that knowledge was power, and he sought to gather the intellectual treasures of the world in one place. To this end, he established the Mouseion, or Temple of the Muses, which housed the library and served as a research institute and cultural hub. The Mouseion quickly became a magnet for scholars and thinkers, attracting minds from Greece, Egypt, India, and beyond. Its location at the crossroads of major trade routes made Alexandria a natural gathering point for travelers and merchants, many of whom brought with them rare manuscripts and scrolls. Ptolemy's agents scoured the Mediterranean, acquiring texts from temples, private collections, and markets. Legend has it that ships docking in Alexandria were searched for scrolls, which were copied before being returned to their owners. Ptolemy II. Philadelphus, Ptolemy's son and successor, expanded his father's vision. Under his rule, the library grew in size and ambition. He ordered the translation of works from diverse languages into Greek, including the Hebrew Bible, which became known as the Septuagint. The library's collection swelled to an estimated 400,000 to 700,000 scrolls, encompassing works on philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and more. The Great Library was more than just a repository of books. It was a symbol of human aspiration, a testament to the belief that knowledge could unite cultures and advance civilization. Its founders envisioned a world where the wisdom of the past could illuminate the future, where the pursuit of understanding was a universal endeavor. Chapter 2. A World of Knowledge. The Great Library of Alexandria was a treasure chest of human thought, a place where the brightest minds of antiquity gathered to study, debate, and expand the horizons of understanding. Its vast collection, unmatched in scope and ambition, was a testament to the boundless curiosity of its founders and the scholars who nurtured it. Imagine walking into one of the library's grand halls. The walls are lined with countless niches, each one housing neatly rolled scrolls. These scrolls are not just documents. They are the lifeblood of civilizations, containing the ideas, stories, and discoveries of generations. Some are written in elegant Greek, others in the flowing script of the Egyptians, while still others bear the unfamiliar characters of distant lands. Every scroll represented a piece of the global puzzle of knowledge, and, collectively, they captured the essence of humanity's intellectual evolution. The library's collection spanned the breadth of human knowledge. Philosophical treatises by Plato and Aristotle sat alongside mathematical works by Euclid and Archimedes. Medical texts detailed remedies and surgical techniques, while astronomical charts mapped the movements of stars and planets. Histories chronicled the rise and fall of empires, and poetry captured the essence of human emotion in verse. Collections of laws, records of trade, and manuscripts on natural sciences were stored with equal care. The scope of the library was as vast as the ambitions of those who built it. Translation was a cornerstone of the library's mission. Ptolemy's agents sought texts in every language, from Babylonian cuneiform tablets to Indian Sanskrit manuscripts. Teams of translators worked tirelessly to render these works into Greek, making them accessible to a wider audience. This effort not only preserved knowledge, but also fostered a sense of shared humanity, as ideas from disparate cultures were brought together under one roof. This vast linguistic effort was critical to understanding the philosophical, scientific, and cultural threads that connected civilizations. The drive to collect knowledge was relentless. According to legend, any ship that docked in Alexandria's harbor was inspected, and its books and scrolls were temporarily confiscated. Scribes would make copies of these works, and the originals were often returned to the ship's owner with gratitude. However, some stories suggest that the originals were kept within the library's walls, while the copies were sent back. Regardless of the truth of these tales, they illustrate the determination of the library's custodians to ensure that no valuable piece of knowledge was overlooked. Beyond its role as a repository of knowledge, the library served as a dynamic center of intellectual exchange. Scholars from different cultures gathered here, sharing ideas and collaborating on groundbreaking work. For instance, it was within the walls of this great institution that Eratosthenes calculated the Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy, using simple observations of shadows and measurements between two cities. His work exemplified the spirit of inquiry and innovation that defined the library. The library's scholars didn't merely collect knowledge, they actively contributed to it. Researchers conducted experiments, wrote commentaries, and developed new theories. They engaged in spirited debates, challenging each other's assumptions and advancing the boundaries of human understanding. The environment of intellectual stimulation was so profound that many of the scholars produced works that would influence generations to come. The library also housed unique tools of learning. Papyrus scrolls were the primary medium for storing written knowledge, but wax tablets, inscribed stones, and rare parchments made from treated animal skins were also used. Diagrams, maps, and drawings were included to illustrate complex concepts. Some of these visual aids were so intricate that they became valuable works of art in their own right. The impact of the library extended far beyond its physical walls. By preserving and disseminating knowledge, the library laid the foundation for countless discoveries and advancements across the ancient world. The ideas nurtured within its halls influenced everything from astronomy and medicine to engineering and literature. It became a beacon of enlightenment in a world where ignorance often held sway, a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge could transcend borders and unite humanity. The library's collection was not merely a static archive, it was a living, breathing entity. It was curated with care, expanded with enthusiasm, and used with reverence. Scholars from across the known world recognized the significance of this institution and contributed to its legacy. The Great Library of Alexandria stood not only as a testament to human curiosity, but also as a symbol of what humanity could achieve when guided by a shared thirst for understanding. Chapter 3. Life Inside the Library. To step inside the Great Library of Alexandria was to enter a realm where the past, present, and future converged. It was a sanctuary of learning, alive with activity, yet imbued with a profound sense of purpose. Here, the pursuit of knowledge was not merely an endeavor. It was a way of life for those who dedicated themselves to it. The day began early in the library. As the first rays of sunlight streamed through its high windows, they illuminated the vast halls of marble and stone. The air was filled with the faint rustle of scrolls, the quiet murmur of voices, and the occasional scratch of styluses on wax tablets. Scribes, scholars, and students moved purposefully through the space, their footsteps echoing softly in the grandeur of the library's chambers. In one corner, rows of scribes sat at long wooden tables, each focused on the delicate task of copying manuscripts onto fresh sheets of papyrus. The scent of ink, made from soot and gum arabic, mingled with the earthy aroma of parchment and scrolls. Every stroke of their reeds was precise, their hands steady with the weight of preserving history. These scribes were not merely copying texts, they were safeguarding the knowledge of the ages. Often they added annotations, commentary, or intricate decorations, enriching the manuscripts with their own insights and artistry. Scholars, meanwhile, roamed the library's endless shelves, searching for inspiration among its treasures. Their robes trailed behind them as they carried scrolls or wax tablets laden with notes. These intellectuals came from diverse backgrounds: Greek philosophers, Egyptian priests, Indian mathematicians, and Babylonian astronomers. The library's reputation as a hub of learning had drawn them from the farthest corners of the known world. Each brought unique perspectives and expertise, creating a vibrant tapestry of ideas. The library was not only a place of quiet study, but also one of lively debate. In its courtyards, under the shade of olive and fig trees, scholars gathered to exchange ideas. Their discussions ranged from the movements of celestial bodies to the nature of existence itself. Heated arguments and passionate defenses of theories were common, yet they were underpinned by mutual respect and a shared commitment to uncovering truth. These debates were the lifeblood of the library, fueling its intellectual vibrancy. Students, the next generation of thinkers, listened intently to lectures delivered by renowned scholars. Seated on stone benches or on the floor, they diligently copied notes onto their tablets. For these eager learners, the library was not just a place of education. It was a gateway to a world of infinite possibilities. They were taught to question, to reason, and to explore, embodying the very spirit of inquiry that defined the library. The tools of learning within the library were as varied as the people who used them. Papyrus scrolls, the primary medium for preserving knowledge, were stored in labeled niches that lined the walls. Wax tablets served for temporary notes, while rare parchments made from animal skins were used for special documents. Diagrams, maps, and drawings accompanied many manuscripts, adding a visual dimension to complex ideas. The scribes and artisans who created these materials were highly skilled, blending craftsmanship with intellectual endeavor. As the day wore on, the library's energy shifted. The midday bustle gave way to a quieter rhythm as scholars settled into their work. Some huddled in small alcoves, deeply engrossed in their studies, while others sat in the open halls, their heads bent over manuscripts. The library provided not only the resources for discovery, but also an atmosphere of calm and focus that encouraged profound thought. By evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, oil lamps were lit, casting a warm glow across the library's halls. The flickering light danced on the walls, creating an almost ethereal atmosphere. In this serene setting, the library became a place of reflection. Scholars lingered over their work, their thoughts drifting between the lines of the texts before them. It was in these quiet hours that some of the most profound ideas were born. The Great Library of Alexandria was more than a collection of books. It was a living entity, sustained by the passion and curiosity of those who worked and studied within its walls. To be a part of this institution was to contribute to something greater than oneself. It was to play a role in humanity's eternal quest for understanding, to ensure that the knowledge of the past could illuminate the path to the future. As the night deepened and the library grew still, the stars emerged in the sky above Alexandria. They mirrored the countless ideas contained within the library's walls, a reminder of the infinite potential of human thought. And for those who had the privilege of spending their days within this sanctuary of wisdom, the Great Library was not merely a place, it was a dream made real. Chapter 4. The Luminaries of Alexandria. The Great Library of Alexandria was not just a repository for knowledge, it was a crucible of brilliance, home to some of the most remarkable minds of the ancient world. These luminaries, drawn from diverse disciplines and cultures, shaped the course of history with their discoveries, theories, and innovations. Their achievements left an indelible legacy, inspiring generations and laying the foundation for the intellectual traditions of the modern world. Among the library's most celebrated figures was Eratosthenes of Cyrene, a polymath whose contributions spanned geography, mathematics, and astronomy. As the head librarian, Eratosthenes exemplified the library's spirit of inquiry and innovation. Known as the father of geography, he achieved the extraordinary. Using simple measurements and observations, he calculated the Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy. By comparing the shadows cast by the sun at noon in two cities, Sienne and Alexandria, he deduced the planet's curvature and size. His method, both ingenious and elegant, demonstrated the power of critical thinking and empirical observation. Eratosthenes also compiled one of the earliest maps of the known world, complete with parallels and meridians, setting the stage for centuries of exploration and cartography. Another towering figure associated with the library was Callimachus, a poet and scholar whose organizational genius revolutionized the way knowledge was cataloged. As the library's chief cataloger, Callimachus created the Pinakes, an ambitious and comprehensive index of the library's holdings. Divided into multiple categories, the Pinakes listed works by author, title, and subject, making it easier for scholars to locate specific texts. This pioneering system of classification laid the groundwork for modern library cataloging and information management. But Callimachus was not only an administrator, he was also a celebrated poet whose works reflected the depth of his intellect and the richness of the literary culture fostered by the library. The library also welcomed great mathematicians like Euclid, whose treatise Elements became one of the most influential works in the history of mathematics. This monumental work distilled centuries of mathematical knowledge into a systematic framework of definitions, axioms, and proofs. Euclid's geometric principles formed the foundation of mathematical education for over 2 millennia, influencing fields as diverse as architecture, engineering, and astronomy. His approach to logical reasoning and systematic problem-solving epitomized the intellectual rigor that defined the library. One of the most intriguing figures associated with the Great Library was Hypatia of Alexandria, a philosopher, mathematician, and astronomer whose brilliance shone brightly in a time of societal and religious upheaval. As one of the first recorded female scholars in history, Hypatia broke barriers and challenged conventions. She refined the design of the astrolabe, an ancient instrument used to observe and calculate the positions of celestial bodies, and her commentaries on mathematical and philosophical texts were renowned for their clarity and insight. Hypatia's life, tragically cut short by political and religious strife, became a symbol of intellectual courage and the enduring struggle for knowledge and reason in the face of ignorance and intolerance. The library was also a hub for collaboration, attracting scholars from distant lands who brought with them unique perspectives and expertise. Indian mathematicians shared insights into number systems. Egyptian priests contributed their deep knowledge of medicine and astronomy, and Babylonian scholars brought texts detailing their advanced understanding of celestial movements. This melting pot of cultures created an unparalleled environment for intellectual exchange, where ideas transcended borders and disciplines. The luminaries of Alexandria were not just individual geniuses, they were part of a larger community that thrived on collaboration and dialogue. Their achievements were often the result of collective effort, as scholars built upon the work of their predecessors and colleagues. The library's culture of open inquiry and interdisciplinary exchange allowed for the synthesis of knowledge, resulting in groundbreaking discoveries and innovations. In addition to their scholarly pursuits, these figures contributed to the library's role as a cultural institution. Poets recited verses that captured the beauty and complexity of human experience. Historians chronicled the triumphs and tragedies of civilizations, and philosophers grappled with questions of existence and morality. The library was not just a place of learning. It was a vibrant cultural hub where art, science, and philosophy intertwined. As you imagine the halls of the Great Library, picture them alive with the voices of these luminaries, engaged in animated discussions or quietly absorbed in their work. Their contributions transformed the library from a mere collection of texts into a living organism, a place where knowledge was not only preserved, but also expanded and reimagined. The brilliance of the library's scholars lay not just in their individual achievements, but in their ability to inspire and elevate one another. Their legacy endures as a testament to the power of curiosity, collaboration, and the relentless pursuit of understanding. In the Great Library of Alexandria, the luminaries of antiquity illuminated the path of human progress, their light continuing to shine across the centuries. Chapter 5: Trials and Tribulations. The story of the Great Library of Alexandria is as much a tale of resilience as it is one of brilliance. Despite its lofty ambitions and the protection of powerful patrons, the library was not immune to the forces of history. Over the centuries, it faced numerous challenges that tested its endurance and ultimately led to its decline. Political upheaval. Alexandria, as a thriving port city and a hub of intellectual and economic activity, was often caught in the crossfire of larger geopolitical struggles. Rival empires, internal power struggles, and changing rulers all had a hand in shaping the library's fate. While some leaders championed the library as a jewel of their kingdom, others viewed it as an extravagance, diverting resources toward military campaigns or political machinations. The shifting priorities of those in power often left the library vulnerable to neglect and exploitation. For instance, during the Roman occupation of Egypt, the library became entangled in the political turmoil of the era. Julius Caesar's siege of Alexandria in 48 BCE reportedly resulted in a devastating fire. According to historical accounts, Caesar set fire to his own ships to prevent them from falling into enemy hands, but the flames spread uncontrollably, consuming much of the city. While the extent of the damage to the library is debated, it is widely believed that this event marked the beginning of its decline. Fires and disasters. Fire, the most destructive force of the ancient world, played a tragic role in the library's history. The fragility of papyrus, the primary medium for preserving knowledge, made the collection particularly vulnerable to the ravages of fire. Each blaze that touched Alexandria's cultural heart destroyed thousands of irreplaceable scrolls, erasing the intellectual achievements of entire civilizations. Natural disasters also took their toll. Alexandria's location on the Mediterranean made it susceptible to earthquakes and tsunamis. These catastrophic events not only damaged the library's physical structure, but also disrupted its operations, scattering its scholars and halting its ambitious projects. The slow erosion of its grandeur was a painful reminder of how even the greatest human achievements are subject to nature's whims, neglect, and shifting centers of power. As the centuries passed, the centers of intellectual and political power shifted. Rome rose to dominance, and later the great cities of Byzantium and Baghdad emerged as new hubs of learning and culture. As these regions flourished, Alexandria gradually lost its prominence. Scholars and resources were drawn to these new centers, leaving the Great Library increasingly isolated. Without the same level of patronage and investment, the library's collections began to decay. The manuscripts, exposed to the humid climate and vulnerable to insects, crumbled over time. The once thriving halls of the library grew quieter, its shelves increasingly empty. What had been a beacon of knowledge became a shadow of its former self. Religious and ideological changes. As new worldviews and religions took hold, some saw the library's vast collection of texts as a relic of a bygone era, incompatible with emerging doctrines. Religious tensions and ideological shifts led to instances of censorship and the deliberate destruction of certain works deemed heretical or unnecessary. The rise of Christian and later Islamic influence in the region brought with it new priorities for education and knowledge, which sometimes conflicted with the preservation of the library's collection. One of the most tragic chapters in the library's story involves the philosopher Hypatia, whose association with the library and the Mouseion placed her at the center of a cultural and political storm. Her brutal murder in 415 CE marked the end of Alexandria's golden age as a center of learning, and underscored the dangers of intellectual pursuit in an era of increasing dogmatism. The insidious threat of forgetting. Perhaps the most insidious threat to the library was not destruction by fire or conquest, but the gradual erosion of its significance. As new generations grew up without experiencing its grandeur, the memory of the Great Library began to fade. Its role as a beacon of enlightenment was slowly overshadowed by the emergence of new institutions and priorities. Over time, the library ceased to be a living entity, becoming instead a symbol of what had been lost, a legacy that endures. Yet, even as the library's walls crumbled and its scrolls turned to dust, its spirit endured. The knowledge it preserved was not entirely lost. Many of its texts had already been copied and disseminated across the ancient world. Scholars in Rome, Byzantium, and later Baghdad carried forward the torch of learning, inspired by the ideals of Alexandria. The library's influence can be seen in the institutions that followed, from the House of Wisdom in Baghdad to the great universities of Europe during the Renaissance. Its story serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of human achievement, but also of its resilience. The dream of a universal repository of knowledge, accessible to all, lives on in modern libraries, archives, and digital platforms. As you picture the library's halls, imagine them not in ruins, but as they once were, a vibrant sanctuary of wisdom, alive with the voices of those who sought to understand the universe. The challenges it faced underscore the importance of preserving and valuing knowledge, a lesson as relevant today as it was in the days of Alexandria. Its story is both a warning and an inspiration, reminding us of the enduring power of human curiosity and intellect. Chapter 6. The Legacy Lives On. The Great Library of Alexandria has long since faded into the mists of history, yet its spirit endures. Though its halls are no longer filled with scholars and its scrolls no longer whisper their secrets, the legacy of the library transcends its physical demise. It remains a symbol of human curiosity, a testament to the unyielding pursuit of understanding. In the centuries that followed its decline, the ideals of the Great Library found new expressions. The ancient knowledge once preserved in Alexandria was carried to other parts of the world, inspiring institutions that sought to emulate its vision. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad, during the Islamic Golden Age, echoed the library's mission, gathering texts from across cultures and advancing human understanding in fields such as astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. The Renaissance in Europe saw the rediscovery and reverence of classical knowledge, much of which had been preserved through the works originally housed in Alexandria. Libraries flourished, universities were established, and the printing press transformed the accessibility of knowledge. The seeds planted in the Great Library continued to grow, shaping the intellectual and cultural foundations of the modern world. Today, the dream of a universal repository of knowledge is more alive than ever. Libraries, universities, and digital archives like the Internet Archive and Project Gutenberg carry forward the mission of Alexandria. These institutions embody the belief that knowledge should be shared, preserved, and accessible to all. Modern technology, with its ability to store and distribute vast amounts of information, has realized what the Ptolemies could only dream of. But the story of the Great Library is not just a celebration of its achievements, it is also a cautionary tale. Its destruction serves as a reminder of the fragility of human progress. Fire, neglect, and ideological conflict robbed humanity of irreplaceable treasures, underscoring the importance of vigilance in preserving our intellectual heritage. In a world where misinformation and the loss of historical artifacts remain challenges, the lessons of Alexandria are more relevant than ever. As you reflect on the library's story, imagine its halls not as ruins, but as they once were, a beacon of enlightenment, alive with the energy of discovery. Picture the scholars debating under the olive trees, the scribes carefully copying manuscripts, and the students eagerly absorbing the wisdom of the ages. The Great Library of Alexandria was more than a place. It was a dream made manifest, a testament to what humanity can achieve when guided by curiosity, collaboration, and a thirst for understanding. Though its physical structure has vanished, the Great Library lives on in the collective memory of humanity. Its spirit echoes in every book opened, every question asked, and every discovery made. It reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge is not merely an endeavor of the past, but a timeless journey, one that connects us across generations and cultures. As the stars shine above, much as they did over ancient Alexandria, they remind us of the infinite possibilities that lie ahead. The Great Library's story is our story, a reminder of the boundless potential of the human mind and the enduring power of dreams.